Tribal Health and Human Services Department of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai Tribes is proud to present Good Medicine, a program dedicated to the wellness of the Flathead Nation. The mission is summarized quite simply: a healthier people, a stronger nation. We will strive to make good medicine a reliable source of ideas and information about health issues so that everyone can make informed decisions about their own lifestyle and health care. You will meet health professionals, tribal government and spiritual leaders, and interesting people from the tribal community discussing important health issues that profoundly affect us all.
Hello, this is Good Medicine. I'm your host, Larry Pitts. Today we have Patte Doran, our tribal health nutritionist. And Patte, I want to thank you for coming aboard. And
happy to be here.
You know, this month is the National Nutrition Month, Patte. So we thought we'd bring you aboard and talk about that a little bit. And before we get started, as I shared with you last time, is anybody you'd like to say hello to?
I'll say hi to Sierra.
All right, Sierra's her daughter. Okay, Patte, what is National Nutrition Week?
Nutrition Month. Yeah,
yes.
It's a month that was designated by the American Dietetic Association as a month to increase awareness about nutrition and to learn more about what we eat. Okay. Yeah.
And are there any special things happening this month that you know of?
Well, I'm here.
Well, that's a wonderful way to start your month off.
Yeah, and each of the senior citizen centers have displays for Nutrition Month. There's displays up in the tribal offices also. There's not a real organized effort in any of the communities, but we're trying to get more information out.
So no fundraisers or raffles?
No, not this month.
Not this month, all right.
This time.
Is there any special theme this year that you are addressing, or? Yeah,
the theme this year is All Foods Can Fit. And each year they try to come up with something to increase people's awareness. I lose my thought here again. The theme, All Foods Can Fit, it's lots of times people think about food as being good or bad. Mm-hmm. And what they really want to emphasize this year is that all foods can be part of a healthy diet. You know, even some of the things that people consider the junk foods, mm-hmm. you know, they can be part of a healthy diet too, and it's not really any food that most people can't eat.
Okay. Yeah. So you're trying to make it more feasible for the general public that, you know, most of us can't run into the supermarket every afternoon and buy our fruits and vegetables. And
well, you know, fruits and vegetables are part of it, mm-hmm. But just, you know, a lot of people eat on the go a lot, mm-hmm. and you know, like sweets, things mm-hmm. like that. And the big thing is that, you know, those foods are okay, and it's okay to eat them in moderation. Mm-hmm. You know, but to try and balance that. Actually, the three keys are variety, balance, and moderation. Mm-hmm. You know, so and with balance, it's just trying to get a balance of foods from all the food groups. Also balancing your food intake with activity. Mm-hmm. The variety is trying to, that was pretty self-explanatory, just trying to get a good variety of foods. Mm-hmm. You know, from different food groups and within the food groups, like with the fruits, not always just eating oranges, but trying to eat a different kind of fruit also. And then moderation. And I think this is probably the one that's toughest for people, is trying to keep the serving sizes reasonable. Okay.
So we sort of call that the M word?
The M word.
Right. So M from now on means moderation.
Yeah, that's probably a good way of looking at it. Particularly the foods that we tend to I think it's the junk foods. You know, I hate to kind of use that term. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, keep pieces small, serving sizes small, mm-hmm. rather than huge.
So when I buy potato chips, I should buy the 75-cent pack instead of the large pack?
That's probably a better choice, yes.
Okay, that makes sense, you know. Yeah. And, you know, we're making fun of it just a little bit, making light of it, mm-hmm. but, you know, that's my life is very fast-paced, and there's times when it's really difficult to get into the place where I have my healthy diet, even though I work at it. What do you think about these foods that say light, L-I-T-E, and those type of things? I mean, are they as important to our diet, or?
I think they can be. You know, that I like to give people a word of caution about some of the light foods or the low-fat foods also, is that you can't eat, still don't want to eat the whole package. You know, it's you go back to moderation. Some of the light foods, I'm thinking about most of the you know, like salad dressings or things like that. Yeah, they have a place in the diet, you know, and can be very, very beneficial for people. But you still need that moderation, even with those, because you can go overboard. You know, when you were talking, you buy light potato chips, you know, and that's probably a better choice. But if you eat the whole bag, you're still getting a lot of calories. Or if you eat a big bag or something, you're still getting an awful lot of calories that you may not burn off.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sort of stuck on potato chips right now,
Okay.
because for some reason. What about these baked potato chips?
Well, they've, you know, I've tasted them, I can tell you that.
Not as good as the others.
I'm not a big potato chip fan, so they were okay.
Okay.
You know, what they've done is taken out the fat, so you get rid of a lot of calories that way. You know, I'm not as familiar with the potato chips as I am with corn chips, because I like the corn chips better. You go from a regular serving of corn chips, which is about 13 corn chips, and they have between 9 and 10 grams of fat, to the baked ones that have 1. In that change there, you've lost about 100 calories.
Wow.
Just from the fat content. So it can make a difference that way.
So learning to change your taste buds to accept the baked over the fat ones, it's important.
Well, and that's, a lot of our tastes are learned. You know, a few things aren't, but a lot of our tastes are learned. And if you think that you buy, say, the baked potato chips and they're going to taste like the regular ones, you're going to be really let down, because they don't taste the same, but they might be an acceptable alternative to you. Yeah.
You know, we're talking about it right now, actually, is paying attention to what we eat. Why is that important?
Well, nutrition is related to actually all aspects of our lives, but here on the reservation, the major diseases that we see are all have a food connection, I guess. And I'm talking about diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, cancer, and alcohol-related diseases. You know, obesity or being overweight is a risk factor for a lot of those. And being a risk factor means it increases your chances of getting those diseases. So it really, really is important from that standpoint, you know, just to try and be as healthy as we can be. You know, I keep thinking, like with diabetes and heart disease, if you watch some of the sugars, some of the fats, you can make a difference on not just how you feel today, but how your health is going to be down the road also. You know, I think for some people it's real hard to see 10 years down the road by what they do today is going to impact that. But if you even focus on, you know, it's going to make me feel better today. You know, and give you more energy and help you to think clearer. You know, now I sound like a school teacher there, you know, eating your breakfast, those kinds of things.
So, in essence, sometimes eating the proper food, not only is it going to work for today, which we see immediately, but it can also be preventive for other things down the road?
Very much so, very much so. A lot of the chronic diseases we see, diabetes, heart disease, they don't happen overnight, generally.
Okay.
You know, they're things that happen over a period of time. And if you make a change now, you may keep that from happening. You know, take some changes. And it's never too late to make changes. You can always get some improvement.
Really?
Yeah.
So, me being a diabetic, type 1, by watching my food today, what can I look at for helping myself down the road?
What they're finding for people with diabetes, if they can keep their blood sugars as close to what's considered normal, they run less chances of having complications like kidney problems, eye problems, those types of things. It doesn't mean they can be totally or will be totally prevented, but they reduce their risks, reduce the chances of that happening. Or if they do develop, they may not be as severe.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know me fairly well, and I work on my diet. But what is food to me as an individual?
Food's what keeps you running. You know, if you think of it as, they always use the analogy or compare it to putting gas in a car. And I never liked that, but I haven't been able to come up with anything better. And it is, food is our fuel. That's what keeps everything going inside. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. You know, we see the physical things we do. You know, we get up, we walk around, we move our hands, we do different things, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on inside that we don't see that requires energy. And basically, when we eat, we get calories. Calories is our energy. And, you know, we all need calories.
Right.
You know, the problem is we tend to get too many of them or aren't active enough to burn them off. But there's a lot of internal things that need to keep going.
Now, you're talking about activity. How does activity affect our food intake? I mean, I keep hearing from people that say, you know, if I exercise, I just want to eat more. Is there any evidence behind that, or is that just sort of, is that a wives' tale? Does it work the other way? Can you tell me that?
I can tell you some of that.
Okay.
When you are more active, you burn more calories, which means that you can generally take in more calories because you're burning them off. What you're looking for is a balance between how many calories you eat and how many calories you burn off. If you're real active and burning off a lot of calories, you can eat more, and it may be making you a little bit hungrier. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to, but sometimes it does. If you're not taking in enough calories and you're really active, you'll lose weight. You know, it's looking at that balance. It's kind of calories in should equal energy out.
Okay.
You know, it's one way to look at that.
How about the regimen of eating? Is eating 3 times a day better for you, or eating 5 times a day, or is it better just to eat 2 meals, you know, lunch and dinner, or, you know, I'm setting you up for this.
I know you are. You've heard me talk before, I know. What they're finding is it's best to eat at least 3 times a day. The ideal would be to eat 4 to 5 times a day, 3 small meals and snacks. And they've done some research where they've taken the same amount of food, had people eat it, and if they ate it in 1 or 2 meals, they tended to gain weight. They spread it out in 3 meals, they stayed about the same. If they broke it up into 4 to 5 smaller meals and snacks, they tended to lose weight. And I think if you think about it, what that lets you do is, as you take the calories in, you're able to burn them off. Whereas if you take in a whole bunch at once, lots of times you don't, because lots of times that's in the evening. When you're not as busy, not as active. So, yeah, no, you've heard me talk enough that you probably knew that answer.
I did, but I want to set you up. I got a question right now, though, which is going to maybe floor you just a little bit. What about, there might be somebody out there watching today who wants to gain weight? You know, we're always talking about losing weight. What about somebody who wants to gain weight?
That's tough. That's tough because you're right, we do tend to focus, there's more people that want to lose weight. You know, for people who are looking to gain weight, I would encourage them to, you know, still eat often. Try to eat what they call calorie-dense foods, things that have lots of nutrients as well as lots of calories. Raisins are an example. Granola is an example. Things that have more calories to try and gain weight. And depending on what other health problems, you know, health things are going on with them, I may tell them to use whole milk, you know, for the calories, to do those types of things. And a lot of what they would be told, it's different than what the general message that most people get, you know, because, you know, one of the easiest ways to increase calories is increasing fat. But you need to look at the whole person, though, because if there's a history of heart disease, that's not what you want to do either. Yeah, so it's a real individual thing, but
Well, we have a friend, Richard Alexander, who's always trying to get larger. He works out hard and he puts a lot of effort into that. And so it'd be okay for him to come and sit down with you and counsel on eating the right foods to help him gain the mass that he was after. So, Two Eagle had a good year this year in basketball. Maybe some of those boys want to get a little more size to themselves. Could they call you up and set an appointment?
Sure, I'm available to talk with people about whether they want to lose weight, gain weight, if they just have questions about general nutrition, ways to eat healthier. Yeah, I can be reached down in Mission.
Okay.
Yeah.
The number of that will be at the end of the show.
Okay.
And for if you guys want to hear it, it's 745-3525. Okay, Patty, well, let's go on to some other things. Nutrition in health is an equally important part as controlling stress and this kind of stuff. How can eating the proper foods help us deal with stress?
With stress. If you're getting the nutrients and the vitamins that you need, you'll be better able to handle the stress because you feel better, you're in better, what's the word, how do I want to say that? You're just better, in better shape, I guess is a good way of saying that. Stress does, sometimes it keeps you from digesting your food right. It can burn up certain nutrients also because of some of the chemical responses that happen when we're under stress. But if you're eating healthy, you're better able to deal with that.
Coping skills.
Coping, yeah. If you haven't eaten anything all day and it's 5 o'clock and you're really hungry and your carburet's down on 93, you're going to have trouble dealing with that anyway.
Sounds like experience to me.
Yeah, but at least if you've got something in your stomach or been eating, it'll help. It's not going to make it all go away, but it gives you just makes it a little easier to deal with.
All right, that sounds good.
Healthier.
All right, well, let's pull together. We're going to bring up a model now, so let's go to the next question. So, Patty, what are the recommendations and guidelines that we should follow?
Okay, well, the USDA and the Department of Health and Human Services, I believe it was, have come up with what they call the dietary guidelines for Americans. And they consist of 7 things. And the first one is eat a variety of foods, maintain healthy weight, choose a diet low in fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol. Choose a diet with plenty of vegetables, fruits, and grain products. Use sugars only in moderation. Use salt and sodium only in moderation. And if you drink alcoholic beverages, do so in moderation. So it comes back to those things that we talked about earlier about balance, variety, and moderation.
The M word.
The M word, yeah, the M word, yeah. That seems to be throughout. Throughout the different guidelines and stuff, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sure a lot of people out in our audience in the TV land is sort of wondering how this wonderful pyramid showed up here, and that's just the magic of TV. My question is, how do we make good choices, and on what basis do we make those choices?
Well, they used to talk about, and I'm sure you probably learned it in school, the 4 food groups.
Not where I went.
Pardon?
Not where I went.
Not where you went, but they always talked about the 4 food groups. And about, I think it was in 1992, they kind of changed how they looked at that, and they came up with the food pyramid. And what the idea is behind the pyramid is that you want to eat heavier from the bottom and lighter from the top. And what they've done is they've taken and divided the foods into 5 food groups instead of 4, and that being the breads and cereals, fruits, vegetables, the milk, and the protein or meat group. And I'm sure you're wondering about the little triangle up here on top.
My favorite section.
Your favorite section,
yes.
Yeah. A lot of people's favorite section. And those are the extras. And those are the ones that we need to use the least of. The idea behind this, if you think of this as kind of building blocks, think of this as the base of our diet, the base of the pyramid, the breads and the cereals, the grains. This is what we need the most servings of every day. This is what gives us carbohydrate. These tend to be low in fat. They give us the energy we need to keep going. And the recommendation is for 6 to 11 servings.
6 to 11. Now I see a hamburger bun right there. Is that one serving or is that 2 servings?
That would count as 2.
That would count as 2.
Yeah, 1 slice of bread is considered a serving.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the next level are the vegetables and the fruits. The vegetables, they've really increased the recommendations on this for people to get at least 3 servings a day of the vegetables, and they talk about a half a cup cooked, which is about the size of the corn or the overcooked broccoli there, or a cup of raw vegetables as being a serving. Vegetables, again, good sources of vitamins and minerals, tend to be low in fat. And there's a certain category of vegetables, it's the cabbage family, that they've found offers some protection against certain cancers, like colon cancer. So there's been a real push to increase people's awareness of that and encourage them to eat more of those.
Would sauerkraut count in that?
Yeah, because that's made from cabbage. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then with the fruits, 2 to 4 servings a day, half a cup of canned fruit, a small apple, small orange counts as a serving. Again, these are good sources of carbohydrates, low in fat. 50 to 60%, or over half our calories, should come from this lower portion.
From the 3 lower.
From the 3 lower. Yeah, when I talk to people, lots of times if I don't have the pyramid, I have a piece of paper with this on it, and I turn it upside down because most people eat upside down. We eat more from up here and less from down here.
Well, I keep looking at the bacon piece up there, and I really like bacon.
We'll get to bacon.
Okay.
As what happens is you start getting further up, you start getting food that has more fat.
Okay.
So where it becomes a little more important to make some different, maybe make some different choices. With the milk group, you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, no milk's important for kids. It's important for adults too, and especially women, to help prevent problems with osteoporosis or with our bones as we get older. The recommendation, this is an 8-ounce glass here, is for 2 8-ounce glasses or some cheese. Yogurt would also fit in that.
How much yogurt?
A cup of yogurt is equal to a cup of milk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's 1 for 1.
1 for 1.
Okay.
Yeah, and for the cheese, I've got, this is like a chunk of cheese there. It's about an inch by inch square. Or a slice of cheese that you would buy. You know, cheese is one of those you have to be a little careful on because of the fat content.
Okay.
And then the meat group, this is one that gets people in trouble, especially in Montana.
Oh yeah, meat and potatoes.
Yeah, it's the serving size. The recommendation is for 2 to 3 servings, you know, trying to choose leaner meats more often than the fattier meats, and a 3-ounce serving. Now that's about the size of my palm, or the size of a deck of cards. Your palm's bigger.
Oh.
You know, and that is quite a change for a lot of people if they're used to eating larger servings of that.
So if I went out and found a cook with big hands, I could have more.
You have half a palm.
Okay, half a palm.
Half a
okay.
palm.
Okay.
And then, excuse me, and then your favorite part, the little tiny triangle on top, those are the extra goodies. Those are things that give us calories but don't really give us a lot of vitamins or nutrition. It's sweets, alcohol, what is it?
Bacon.
Bacon,
Butter.
butter.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. You know, the idea is to try and get a good variety in here. Okay, and again, eating heavier from down here and lighter from up here.
Okay. So the goodies section up there, let's get back to that. That's my
Okay.
you know, it's my show, right?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. How many of those extras can we afford to have every day?
Depends how active you are.
Okay, I'm very active.
You're very active. You know, what they, you know, they try to say, or what they recommend, not try to say, what they recommend is try and get 50 to 60% of your calories from the carbohydrates, about 10%, 12% from protein, which would include both of these, and 30% or less from fat. It's depending what the extra goodies are. Most of those are high in fat. You know, so it kind of depends on how active you are, your age. It's again a real individual, but you know, generally to just a few servings.
Why is fat so addicting?
I think we just acquire a taste for it more than anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What else you want to tell me about that pyramid?
It's a guideline. It's not written in stone. You want to try and, what I usually tell people, that for every high-fat food they eat, try to balance it with 3 lower-fat foods, so you get that balance.
Say that one more time.
For every high-fat food you eat, try to balance it with 3 lower-fat foods. So you end up with that balance. And you may not be able to do that every day, but over a course of several days. You know, if there's a celebration or something coming up, you're going to probably eat a lot heavier or a lot more than you normally might, and you kind of balance out the next few days.
Would you say I was a bad person if I eat too much fat on a given day?
No, and I really would like to see people get away from good and bad. You know, we're making choices about what we eat. That doesn't reflect how you are as a person.
Okay.
You know, and the other thing with that too, you know, if people are trying to watch their weight and they have a sweet or a goodie, not to go on a guilt trip. It's okay.
Okay.
You know, so.
Well, I see people on diets all the time that they feel like they fell off their diet, and so they might as well forget the whole diet. Is that a wrong attitude?
That one's kind of set you up to fail. You know, it's better if you're, like I said, if you're trying to watch, I don't like diets to begin with. If you're trying to watch what you eat, you know, trying to lose weight, you know, again, it's making healthier food choices. You know, if there's something that you really want, have a small serving of it and enjoy it.
Okay.
And just include that. Remember that the theme of Nutrition Month is all foods can fit.
Okay.
You know, and that's true whether you're trying to lose weight or trying to gain weight. Regardless, they all fit into a healthy meal plan.
Sort of like the seafood diet with the M word.
The M word. Seafood, eat it in moderation, is that?
Right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
You know, I can see where that works. And, you know, Patty, how can we affect our families, I guess?
You mean in making healthier choices? You know, taking a look at what you're doing right now, what you're serving, how you're fixing foods, and maybe decide to change one thing.
Okay.
If you always fry your meat, maybe one day a week you're going to bake it. You know, that's a small change, but that's a healthy step. If you don't, you know, I was reading something where, you know, it's just, I can't remember what the percentage is, but it was a really high percentage of kids that don't eat fruit in any given day, and it's high for adults too. You know, if you don't eat a lot of those fruits and vegetables, maybe try to increase that as a way to be healthier.
Well, Patty, we're running out of time here today, and I want to thank you for coming onto the show, and you gave us a lot of information, and I think it's very valuable. Thank you. For those of you, if you have anything you would like to see on this program, which is called Good Medicine, that are health related, write into us, and we will see if we can get that sort of information to you. We'd like to do programs on things that you would like to see. I want to thank you for watching us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you much. Goodbye.
Good Medicine is your program. We hope you watch this and subsequent programs to stay informed about your health care. And we'd like to hear from you about how we're doing. Please direct any comments or suggestions you have to us. You can reach us at